that's the biggest crime of all this to me. It's just like, just open up your mind, and it doesn't have to be for 60 volt. I'm just saying in general, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get so caught up in the, you know, loosen up your you know, your F mask a little bit,
Yeah.
or your yarn braids, and just open up your mind a bit. And,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the thing I think with 16 volt is that we've got stuff that's like totally like metal, and we've got stuff that's totally like not metal.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Full Black Habit. I mean, And You Are Alone Again. There's not a drop of guitar on the thing.
Right.
And you know that track gets club play all over the place.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of our other stuff doesn't, which is fine. You know,
Right.
a lot of our stuff isn't club tracks. But when I go here in Portland, and you know, I live here in Portland, and one of my good friends is a DJ here in a club, and he can't spin 16 volt because all the people want to hear is the same shit that they've been hearing for
Right.
years. That's just not helping anything. That's why all those bands that they're listening to in the club aren't coming to play live.
Right. Well,
Not going to shows. The scene just slowly dies.
Right, and no one wants to take a money risk on him because like Siebold said to me last night. He said this market, this economy, it's nearly impossible to put on a tour right now.
It is nearly impossible. I mean, we have somehow pulled it together to make it work. And of course, I say that before actually finishing it. But you know, I mean, good example is let's just take a case of Pig.
Yeah.
Right. Pig goes out with KMFDM. They're playing, you know, they're freaking selling out shows left and right.
Yeah.
When we went on the KMFDM tour with Raymond singing, we did 2 nights at the Metro in Chicago, and both nights were sold out.
Yeah.
You would think that as one of the singers in KMFDM, Raymond Watts, and his band Pig, phenomenal band, been around forever.
Yeah, I've talked to Raymond in the past.
Yeah. Of course, he's crazy. He's a crazy person, but
yeah.
You know, more of the reason you want to go see him. He comes right after that tour and tries to do a Pig tour, and there's 10 people showing up at the show, and you know, 8 shows into the thing, he's got to bail off it.
Yeah.
Because there's no money. It's like done. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Why is that happening? And to me, it's like the reason it's happening is because you've got all these old school KMFDM fans who are just completely closed-minded, and they just want to hear Godlike again, and they just want to hear. That's all they care about. They just hear those same things over and over and again. And I mean, that's why KMFDM has been able to sustain their audience for so long. They've just, you know, they got big in the beginning, and they've just sustained it. But if KMFDM came around now, and I mean, I've talked about this with them, so I could say it.
Yeah.
You know, they would be in trouble just like everybody else.
Right. Right.
There's something wrong with that. You know.
Yep.
You know, KMFDM is no better than anybody else in the scene. And why is it that KMFDM is drawing 2,000 a night and God Module is drawing 17? There's,
right.
You know, not that God Module is doing that. I'm just throwing out hypothetical numbers there.
Right.
You know, that's a problem. So what's the problem? To me, it's the scene, and I know I'm going on and on about it, but, you know, we just got to start supporting shows that are coming through.
Right.
Otherwise, they're just going to stop. I mean, they will literally just stop coming through. I talk to bands about it on a daily basis.
Right. Now,
people are, like, scared to go out. People are like, I don't know if I can do it. I mean, to get Jared to come out on this tour and to pull this whole thing together has been 6 months of convincing people.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then getting turned down, like in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, that was tough, you know, and why aren't we playing the Minneapolis show? Because the promoter was so nervous about the Assemblage 23 show coming through, and, you know, they didn't know how that show was going to do, that they didn't want to have 2 shows in this genre that close together because it would be they wouldn't have time to recover from a financial loss.
Right, right.
So, you know, most of the promoters in this scene aren't putting on shows to make money. They're putting on shows because they love the scene.
Right.
You know, our promoter here in Portland who does industrial shows, he loses on average $5,000 to $1,000 a show.
Jeez.
But he does it because he loves the music and he loves the bands and he wants to try to keep supporting it, you know.
Right. Now,
so there's. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just thinking. We're talking about scene and talking about that. You know, when you and I first started doing this, when we first got into this music, really you had your central. You had Wax Trax, you had Network, and Reconstriction a little bit later after that. But really, you had 2 major players in the game, and pretty much if you bought one person's record, you bought everyone's record. Do you think that sense of collaboration between artists is missing to bridge the gaps?
Well, no. I don't think it's missing. I just think it goes unnoticed. I mean, from my own experience, we've had tours where, shit, even on this tour, 60 Volt featuring members of KMFDM, Left Spine Down with, a member of Frontline Assembly.
Right. Yeah.
You can go on and on. It doesn't help. It doesn't help our draw.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't help anybody's draw when they do that. So, people just have stopped doing it. Stopped saying who it is. People are still totally collaborating all over the place. It's just there's really no added value anymore. I mean, when we used to put out records on Reconstriction, they'd stick a big sticker on the front of it that said, like, featuring members of Skinny Puppy and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And, I mean, it helped sell records. People would be like, oh, wow, this is from, somebody who was,
right.
whatever. And I would buy PTP from Wax Trax because, Owl's on it, or I would buy it because it's a Wax Trax release, and I would just buy it because that's what you did.
Right. That's something I think we're missing, is people don't have a loyalty to labels anymore either.
No. And, I mean, some of that can probably be blamed on quality. When industrial started to get bigger, a lot of labels started to sign a bunch of shit. And,
right.
So I can blame some of that on that. But that's not so much the case now. I mean, you take a label like Metropolis. I mean, there's some great bands on Metropolis. Are the people buying Combi Christ the same people that are buying 60 Volt? No.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because you know what? I've seen Combi Christ twice, and Andy's puts on a pretty good show, and we put on a pretty good show, and it would make a great bill, but it's never going to happen because the audiences clash too much, and there's too much of a financial risk if we do it together.
Wow. Yeah. It
makes sense.
Yeah.
If Revco went out, in the 90s, and some people say, we're just old guys waxing poetic about a scene that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And to some degree that is true, but at the same time it's not. If you go to any club night in any city here in the U.S. or Canada, there's 200 people there.
Right.
Why aren't those 200 people going to shows?
Right. Why aren't they paying the $15, $16 to get in the door?
Right.
Maybe
blame it on the economy, but you know what? I don't buy it because it's like they're still going to the club night. They're still they're downloading music. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting.